Hey, it's Janek Wolowski. I'm here in Washington, D.C. at the National Center for Transgender Equality. Ladies and gentlemen, let's check in with Justin to find out, well, what is the National Center for Transgender Equality?
Well, we're an organization that does federal policy advocacy for transgender people. And we work on issues of national significance for transgender people as well.
What are some of the big things that you did within the past 12 months? Because this is the first time I'm actually in these offices here in Washington, D.C. What happens? We're here, by the way, it's National Equality March weekend. So a lot of people have invited us inside. What happens when we're not invited? What are you guys working on?
We're working on a number of important issues, including the hate crimes bill, which looks like it's going to be signed into law very shortly. And the Employment Non-Discrimination Act is a huge piece of the work that we're doing, trying to get employment protections for LGBT people. So this is a critical bill for protecting people's job security. We also work on lots of other issues of federal policy that impacts people based on their gender identity and gender expression.
Justin, what do you think was the motive for removing T from a lot of the LGBT bills that were proposed to Congress? What was the opposition that you guys had to teach people about?
Well, there are people who were concerned that the bills wouldn't pass, including gender identity. And I think we've proved that wrong because now bills have gone through Congress. The hate crimes went through both houses of Congress, including gender identity, and passed, and we're well on our way to do that. I think there were legislators who were unfamiliar with the issues of transgender people, and so we've been working very hard over the last few years to educate them about that, as well as the wider community about why gender identity expression really needs to be included, and why transgender people face really horrendous levels of discrimination and violence, and that we need to do things to change that.
And you have the resources to actually propose that to government standards. How can we educate people maybe in a small town to say, hey, listen, include transgendered folks? How do we tell transgendered folks, approach people and say, include me? How do we inspire people who aren't in our nation's capital?
Well, we have a number of resources available. All of them are free. We've got a resource called Teaching Transgender that people can use to lead a training for people about transgender, basic transgender issues in their town. We have resources for LGBT groups that want to explore the question of how they can be more inclusive of transgender people. We also have we do a lot of work inspiring people in the grassroots to take action for their own liberation. So resources about how to visit your member of Congress, how to call your member of Congress, and like I said, everything we do, we provide for free for people in the grassroots, because that's really where it's happening, is when people are interacting with their members of Congress in their home districts. That really is what makes change in Washington as well, so that's very important to us.
Now, speaking grassroots, it's National Equality March and Rally, an education and seminar weekend right here in Washington, D.C. You've got a great event happening right now. It's Friday night. The event is kicking off. How are you guys involved in the National Equality March and Rally?
We're endorsers of the march. We also held a reception tonight for trans people and our allies and friends, just to get together and have some fun. And then tomorrow we're hosting a town hall meeting where we're going to talk about issues of both federal policy and also the ways in which state and local activists are making change in their communities, and talk about what those issues are together as we move forward as a movement. So.
Justin, before we step out, I don't think people know how to advertise to the transgender community. Check out this pen. Justin had the great opportunity of designing this pen. Transgender Equality, amazing pen. Draft a letter to your congressman, as seen on TG. Tell me about designing this, and please hold this great trophy of your work.
Sure.
Because people don't know how to reach the transgender community, and this is just a great opportunity. You did it.
Well, we just wanted people to know that the pen is amazing, not because the pen's anything at all, but because of what people can do in their own activism, and that's why we wanted people to really feel empowered. That's really important to our work, to take those activisms and to reach out, as transgender people and as our allies and as our family members, to make a change. And so that's what we did. And we here believe in having. We take our work very seriously, but we don't take ourselves so seriously, and so we try to have a lot of fun while
That's really serious, because you held my attention, and I want to talk to people about this. But one of the other places where Justin's work caught my attention is, please read this shirt. Equality. It's not equality without the T. If anybody out there doesn't get this, please just explain it to us. It's so simple. I love it. I love it.
Well, we firmly believe that transgender people have always been a critical part of the LGBT community and part of the progressive movement, and that that bringing about equality is the work that we do, and we want to make sure that transgender people and people of all different gender expressions, whether they're butch lesbians or gay men who got called sissies in elementary school, or whoever, that people have a right to express themselves they want to, and if we're not including the right of freedom of gender expression, we're not really talking about freedom, and that's why we think there's no equality without the T.
How do you get these shirts? I got one today just from showing up this weekend. How do we get these? These are awesome. And how do we get in touch with the National Center for Transgender Equality? Justin.
Well, we got them free at all our events this weekend. You also can contact us and buy a T-shirt. Our website is www.transequality.org.
What else could I contact you for? Can I ask you questions about transitioning? Can I ask you doctor referrals? What things can I call you about?
We do
because you're going to get a lot of questions.
We do federal policy work, so we don't do direct service referrals. Although if we can help someone find resources in their local community, we certainly try to do that. But mainly, what we work on is federal policy issues. But we also help people find resources for state and local advocacy. So it's better to call us if you want to change the driver's license policy in your state, or you want to put a proposal before your city council about that would an anti-discrimination law that includes gender identity, for example, things like that. That's we're more experts on policies and laws.
Justin, you know what someone asked me about today? I said, well, how do I apply for jobs? Look at my license. So exactly what you said. They're in the building today. A major success. You reached your audience. I'm Ryan in Washington, D.C. at the National Center for Transgender Equality. It's your invitation now. Find out more about how you can lead the way.